to the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 244 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, July 19th, 2022. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, we were just talking before the show started. It's nice quiet week. Don't have a whole lot to talk about this week. Should be a nice, quick, short podcast, right?
Well, we pushed the recording date back a day because last week the bombshell dropped on us. So this week, actually, it worked in our favor. The bombshell, which we knew was coming, actually came when it was supposed to.
Right.
So we've got news. We've got news from last week. We've got a couple of races in between. We got all sorts of playoff crap going on. Yeah. We are, strap in because we're gonna go on a ride here today. I think we got a lot to get through.
Yeah. Let's just skip the pleasantries and we'll get right into it, James.
All
right. I turn and look over my shoulder and there's a huge elephant sitting in the room, and that is the Chicago Street Race. It is official, James. NASCAR, the Cup Series at least, is racing on the streets of Chicago in 2023. I guess, we've talked about this. We've discussed it a lot on this podcast. Probably doesn't need to have a huge discussion, but what's your thoughts? I mean, is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I know Twitter's up in an uproar over it, but Twitter's always in an uproar, right?
Twitter's always in an uproar. That's not a, yeah. Eric, my initial thought was like, I don't like it. But then what I typically do is I get some distance in between when a piece of news breaks and I start to digest it just a little bit more and I hear people talk and I come to the realization like, yeah, okay, this is going to be okay. I'm not going to be, normally I am Mr. Pessimistic, but Ben Kennedy has yet to not get a base hit. You know what I mean? He's been on the ball here, so I am going to relent. And I didn't like the crow I had to eat after the Coliseum. It didn't taste very good. So I'm going to let this one go. I think this is definitely, Eric, we've been talking about going street racing for many, many years, right? It's never been
a recurring discussion on this podcast. We talked about it before this was even a dream.
Yes. So here it is. And so be it. We're going to go racing in Chicago. And yep, it's a thing that's going to happen. So, I will say my initial thoughts are, first, I'm bummed that we lost Road America over this one. But not the end of the world. Two, I like the idea of NASCAR going racing right downtown in a metropolitan area. Mm-hmm. We had talked a long time ago, Eric, you probably remember this, but there was a lot of talk about building a Bristol inside New York City or just outside New York City. A lot of that stuff over the years. But by God, Ben Kennedy figured out a way to do it. So we're gonna do this thing and it's gonna be a whole new market.
You're not gonna build a permanent course in a major city anymore.
It's too expensive.
And so why not build a temporary one? I mean, we've done this other places. Personally, I'm disappointed because this has got to be the nail in the coffin for Chicagoland Speedway, right? I mean, we did hear rumors about the Kansas date coming there. I can't imagine 3 races in Illinois because we got Gateway too.
Yeah. No.
So I don't think they're coming back there at least in the next 3 years.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say that Chicagoland's dead just yet. Let's wait 2 years and see what
I'm disappointed because Moody asked the question today, but he asked about Road America and Chicagoland, and Ben Kennedy answered the question about Road America and never got to Chicagoland. I'm like, come on, somebody ask Ben what the plan is for Chicagoland.
They want to keep that opportunity open.
Yeah,
I think
so.
In case. In case. It's there. It ain't going anywhere.
Yeah. So, I'm disappointed because that's not there. I guess I should be excited because this is a race that is within distance for me to be able to go to. Probably a pretty good opportunity. I'm going to make an effort at least to get out there next year for it. We'll see what happens. I'm sure every media partner anywhere is probably going to try and get in, so it might be tough, but
big local market there too. You got to imagine there's a lot of news outlets in Chicago that are going to want to cover this, especially 4th of July weekend.
Yeah.
Right there, it's going to be tough.
This made waves when I do a Google search. It's all over the place right now.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. And for those, I heard people complaining on Sirius today. I listened to it for a little bit just to kind of get a taste of what I expected. And, people are complaining about camping and people are complaining about tickets and guys, this is not a race for your traditional diehard NASCAR fan. It just isn't. We talked about this last week, I believe, or a couple weeks ago, at least.
Yeah, we've talked about it. Yeah.
This race is designed for the casual fan. This race is designed for those people that go and party in the snake pit at Indianapolis during the Indy 500 instead of watch the race. This is an event that is for the experience. Ben Kennedy already talked about, having a main stage with a ton of musical acts. Chicago is going to be a great place to host this. No, you're not going to go camp outside of turn 4 at this racetrack. You're just not going to. No, there aren't going to be budget friendly hotel rooms probably in Chicagoland to go to this race. No, you're not going to have your traditional grandstands that you have. You'll have some, but there's going to be a lot more luxury, suites and patios and things like that around the track. It's going to be very different from what you've seen at a NASCAR race before if you're a traditional fan, but that's not who they're trying to cater to here. They're not turning their back on you. They're not turning their back on any of us. There are 36 races in the season, and there are still 35 that cater towards the diehard NASCAR fan, maybe 34 if you take the Bristol dirt race out of it too. But we've got all that. This is the one race for everybody else. And I don't see it NASCAR making this announcement. We don't know what ticket prices are going to be. But I wouldn't be surprised to see this be a more expensive event to attend, and not for, to bring a family of, blue collar workers to a race like we do at every other track on the circuit. That may not happen here, but this is our Miami, This is our,
that's it. That's it.
That's what this is. It's to get that attention and get the sport out in front of other people and get the sport in front of people in Chicago and hopefully bring on some new NASCAR fans, which I know that it brings change as well, but it also keeps the sport alive, and that's what we all want, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, Miami for F1 wasn't the greatest, event ever.
Right.
But the excitement around that was, just incredible. And F1 races on street courses all over the world, Eric. And if they can put together, they're going to be racing in Las Vegas. So if NASCAR can siphon off a little bit of that excitement and do it in the Midwest where you're not going to get an F1 race anytime soon, this is the next best thing for people like that. If you're interested in F1 and you live in a highly populated area like that and you want to see some professional, high level professional racing, this is going to be an option. And I think NASCAR's going to find something out of this that looks like success. I think it's going to be, received different ways, like you said, Twitter and whatnot. They're not going to like it, but
NASCAR fans traditionally hate change, and this isn't the
I'm
right series to be.
Yeah,
we've seen a lot
Eric,
of it over
I'm
the past
one of
couple
them,
years. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I don't like a lot of things that we've done lately, but, I have to admit, like, the Coliseum was a pretty cool deal, and that place was jam-packed, and it was awesome. And, if NASCAR can find... Eric, we race 38 times a year if you include the exhibitions.
Right.
We got room to try something here. And with the Clash, we've tried something there. You're right. You hit the nail on the head. This isn't for your traditional NASCAR fan. We're trying to reach a different market.
Well, the other thing here is that, like, Ben Kennedy, Steve Phelps, they want to see a good race here. I mean, they'll be excited if there's a good race. But when you watch the announcement today and you listen to the words they spoke, that wasn't at the top of the list here.
Right.
Ben Kennedy made a comment that, there's passing zones. I mean, that's not exactly selling the quality of racing that you're going to see here necessarily, but that's not what it's about. Yep. It's about getting fans. It's about, okay, we can't get these. We tried 18 years or whatever at Chicagoland to get the fans in Chicago to the racetrack. They didn't come, James. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to put it in their freaking backyard.
Yep.
And force them, get them.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly though, James, if you what do we always say? If you could just get somebody to the racetrack, Most people, you
Yes.
get them to the racetrack, they get that experience. They're like, man, this is awesome. Well,
Yep.
now we're doing it. This is going to
Or-
get thousands of people, millions of people potentially to the racetrack because it's in their backyard.
Yep.
And maybe we bring some new NASCAR fans in as a result.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and we don't have the Netflix product that F1 does that generated a whole bunch of excitement. So you're right. Like we gotta find a way in here. So let's do something that will definitely catch people's attention. They're probably going to be annoyed with the traffic situation for a couple of days.
I mean, I
but
will
this is
say
gonna be fine.
that they've, in other street courses, they've managed to do a pretty good job of being able to keep the tracks open, keep the streets open until they need to be closed for the race. So I'm confident they'll be able to do that here too. I mean, it's pretty easy to move a couple barriers and make it work. Couple things with this. Ben Kennedy says there's going to be an IMSA support race on Saturday, Cup Series on Sunday. No mention specifically on what IMSA series it is. He said they're still working on some of the scheduling things. Xfinity and Trucks will not be at this race. They're uncommittal on answering questions about potentially the Xfinity series or the Truck series still going to Road America next year. And it is 4th of July weekend, by the way, as well. So it replaces that Road America weekend. Yeah, and if you watch the iRacing event, which James didn't because he was checked out on iRacing by this point during the pandemic, they raced pretty much this exact track, pretty much this exact layout on the iRacing event. The maps are up. You can go to NASCARchicago.com, NASCAR Chicago on Twitter, and get all kinds of renders and stuff of what they think it will look like. But obviously anything can change, and who knows what the final product will be. They built a pretty nice racetrack in a stadium, just a few months ago. And I'm confident that it'll look pretty good in Chicago too when they get there.
Yep, and it should be mentioned too that this is not the final layout that they know of just yet. This is the proposed layout.
Yeah, anything can change.
Yep, everything you see online, it could change a little bit. I doubt it will. I think they've got an idea here.
Yeah,
I
think this was pretty much in stone back when we ran in iRacing. I mean,
yep, exactly.
This is Road America was a placeholder. Unfortunately, I mean, it sucks that placeholder brought as many people as it did into Elkhart Lake, but hey, they got 2 good weekends out of it. It sucks to see it go away, but I will say, James, one thing I'm going to commit to this and hold me to this. So
I'll try. I will try.
Like, I know we don't do this in person very often, but like next time you see me, if I fail at this, like hit me or something, because my goal is to no longer ever complain about a track to the point where I say we shouldn't be racing there.
Interesting.
Because
okay.
we've lost some tracks, and as much as Texas sucks, Texas has it has the right to have a date. Has there
What if we
don't
put dirt on it, Eric?
Yeah, well, we don't. I'm okay with modifying the track. That's fine. But let's stop calling. If you guys really want to keep these races, let's stop calling for tracks to be eliminated. Because, we lost Chicagoland, we lost Kentucky. Those are both gone. Everybody's clamoring for them to come back. I can't believe people are clamoring for Kentucky to come back still, but they are. Now we're losing Road America again, and people are upset about that. Stop complaining about tracks to make them go away. Let's just appreciate one race date at every track. Let's just do that. I'm good with one race date. That's fine. But I'm not. I'm gonna stop calling for tracks to go away, even if the racing is terrible there.
Yeah.
I mean, Pocono is not my favorite track. We're going there this weekend. But I like the fact that we race once at Pocono. It's a unique track, so every track should have an opportunity to have one date.
Yes, I will do my best to hold you to this. I don't know if I can, but I will try.
It shouldn't be difficult, but you never know. James, I wanted to bring up. So this is one of the things that was mentioned in today's press conference. Is that next year, 2023, is NASCAR's 75th anniversary.
That's right.
The last time we celebrated a big anniversary with NASCAR was the 50th anniversary. So I just wanted to run through a few things here. This is just to give us an idea. First of all, 50 years in the sport. 1998 was the 50th anniversary of NASCAR. So I want you to listen to some of these facts from 1998 and think about 1998 forward and how far NASCAR moved in those 50 years and how traditional a lot of this stuff still is that you're going to hear. And then how far we've come in 25 years since 1998 to next year in 2023. So
All right.
1998, some facts from 1998. There were 33 points paying races in 1998, James.
Okay.
The series was still sponsored by a cigarette company. It was the NASCAR
right.
Winston Cup Series.
That's right.
There was no chase. There were no playoffs. Jeff Gordon won 13 times that season.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did.
On the way to his third Winston Cup Series championship.
13 times in 33 starts. Man.
Yes. Dale Earnhardt was your Daytona 500 winner. It was the only race he won that year. Rookie of the year in 1998 was Kenny Irwin Jr. He did not win a race in his rookie season.
And in the Texaco Haviland Ford Taurus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Daytona ran its first race under the lights in 1998.
I remember, yes.
Do you remember?
Was that race?
Yeah.
Was that race delayed?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was October 17th, 1998. It was postponed due to wildfires in July. So
That's right. Yep.
if you look at the 1998 schedule, you know, we raced at all the traditional places. We started the season in Daytona. We ran at Rockingham. Las Vegas was on the schedule at that point in time. Texas was on the schedule. They had one date. Talladega, California, Charlotte, Dover, Richmond. Michigan had 2 races. You know, Phoenix. All these tracks that we'd raced on forever. And now if you look at this year's schedule, you know, 36 dates, 36 race weekends, points paying weekends. And just look at just this year alone what we've done. Can you imagine 1998, James? 1998, thinking we're going to run on a street course. We'd only been racing in Indianapolis for 4 years at this point. The Brickyard 400 was still a new race.
It was a baby, yeah.
I mean, look how far we've come in 25 years. And honestly, if you really look at those changes, most of them have come in the last 5.
5 to 10, yeah. Yep.
I mean,
a lot of the big ones.
Yeah. So it's amazing how far we've come. I think it's a big step in the right direction. Hey, it's a 3-year deal. Let's give it a shot. You know, maybe it fails. Maybe it doesn't work. What's the harm? I mean, they lose
it's one race.
A bunch of people lose a bunch of money, and we look silly. I mean, NASCAR looks silly all the time. So
yeah, that's right.
Whatever. I mean,
Yep.
I think it's going to be a huge success. Again, the racing may not be the greatest, but I'll tell you what, if you're going to build a track for this car, okay, here's the one. What came first, James, the chicken or the egg? Did the car come first, or did this race come first? Did we build this car to be able to run this race, or did we build this race because of the car?
Oh, man.
I think the car was built in part because of this race.
Probably it was something to do with it, because we've been adding road courses and more of those for the last couple of years, and now the product on the road courses isn't as good as the ovals, so
right,
we're going the other way. But yeah, I
think
they go hand in hand for sure.
You put a bunch of square turns in and run these cars on a nice narrow street course.
Oh yeah,
it could get exciting.
It could, absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm in. I guess, you know, my only disappointment is that is what may or may not happen with Chicagoland. Aside from that, I have no, disappointment about this. I think it's a move in the right direction, and I think the success of this will lead to maybe other potential opportunities. Yeah. And credit NASCAR for not. NASCAR could have really easily gone to. I mean, Nashville's a brand new street course for the Indy cars. They could have gone there. We want to race in the Nashville market. Michigan is running on the streets in Detroit for the first time in years next year. They could have gone there and tagged on with the IndyCar. They could have gone. I mean, there's street courses in Florida. There's the the one out in California. There's all kinds of places they could have gone that this is already done, and they're building their own. So
Yep. Hey. Make it unique, make it your own.
Yep. So I think they're going to own the weekend, and I know a lot of people are upset about the 4th of July weekend moving away from Road America, but I think 4th of July is going to be pretty welcomed in Chicago too. One last thing I'm really getting frustrated with, and I just tweeted about this a little bit ago too, James. These people that are freaked out about, oh my God, people are going to get shot, it's going to be dangerous. Are we that sheltered as a sport that we're afraid to go in the city? I mean, Chicago's. I mean, yeah, there's crime in Chicago, but do you really think it's going to be on the front stretch of the NASCAR track?
News to everybody who says that could happen anywhere right now.
We've had stories about haulers being stolen.
Yeah, you're not exactly. Yeah, you're not special thinking that now. So
I'd probably feel safer at Chicago and on the streets of Chicago with a NASCAR race than I would in the Talladega infield.
Probably, yeah. We've had some stories come out of that too. So anywhere you go, I mean, gosh, it's God, we love Michigan, and we know how the Faster Horses Festival handles itself.
Right.
So
Talladega's got a jail. I mean, they
Yeah.
got one in Chicago too. Perfect.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. I don't know where people get this from, man. Good Lord.
People are freaked out about the same thing in LA. It's like, I mean, sure, if you venture off into the bad parts of town, but do you think the bad part of town is going to be where the track is? No.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's like going to
God's
Detroit,
sakes.
man.
People.
Yeah, people. Yeah.
Well, maybe that's part of it is we live in Michigan and Detroit,
Yep. Yep.
Detroit doesn't live up to its name, but at the same time kind of does sometimes. So
It does, yeah. Oh, yeah.
anything else with this one, James? Have we beaten the dead horse enough?
The horse is dead. Yep.
Chicago next July. We got a year to wait for this now.
Yes, we do.
That's the thing that sucks about these announcements, but
Oh, yeah. It'll be here faster than you know it, though.
I know.
And then we'll be racing the fifth one before you know it, too.
Right. Yeah. Well, we did come off a race weekend. We wanted to get that in before we started talking about New Hampshire, but the Ambetter 301 from New Hampshire Motor Speedway turned out to be, I don't know, kind of a quality race for a New Hampshire race, I think, James, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, New Hampshire's been solid since they took a date away.
Yeah.
And it keeps putting out good racing. So, yeah, I'm good with that.
Chris Bell shakes up the playoff picture a little bit more, gets himself a win.
Yes, man, I'm telling you. I mean, either way, Truex is going to win. We were getting a new winner out of this race,
Yeah.
it looked like.
Well, Chase was
I
up
know-
there.
Chase rallied. Bubba was up there all day. But yeah, Chris Bell, I got this. Yeah, I love that. A little bit of insight on something I was kind of workshopping in my brain, but I wasn't. I'm glad I didn't bring it up, but I'll bring it up now. I was workshopping a take that Joe Gibbs Racing had regretted Christopher Bell over Eric Jones because that's the take I always have had.
Right.
But I was looking at things and I'm like, I couldn't find a way to tie it together because Chris Bell's been awesome and now he's got another win to his resume. So no doubt about it, Chris Bell. So far he's locked into the playoffs.
Yeah. It's funny because I've seen him win so much in the Xfinity Series that I kind of forgot that he'd only had one other Cup Series win.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Number 2.
Yeah, the road course at
Right.
Daytona.
Yeah, number 2 for Christopher Bell. Yeah, just interesting performances. Like you said, we had a lot of front runners that could have really shaken up the picture quite a bit in this one. Made it interesting throughout the day. Let's see.
Martin
didn't have my
Truex
results up.
Jr.
Yeah,
just flat out was killing people.
well, they
and
threw
then
it away with that 2-tire stop.
again on pit road. Again, just a bad decision. The car got into dirty air and never recovered.
And Kevin Harvick didn't lead any laps, but he was also a contender and did the same thing, I believe, with the 2-tire stop.
Yeah, but
and
he was
finished right
coming
behind
too.
Truex.
Yeah, he had some momentum. That was looking like Kevin might steal it, and then Chase got in position.
Yeah.
We talked about that just a little bit, but because Chase was kind of like a battering ram there for a little bit. But what a stretch of races for Chase Elliott.
Yeah.
Eric, he's gone. He's gone second, fourth. Well, let me double check this. Hold on, that was where he started. He's gone 8th, first, second. His
Jeez.
last 5. I mean, he could legit have 4 straight wins right now. So he's we talked about him enough last week as the championship favorite. He didn't do anything to disparage that.
No.
This week.
You mentioned Bubba Wallace, 3rd place finish for Bubba Wallace. Great rally for him. Excellent to see. Hey James, so last week there was a pit crew swap, and I don't remember if we questioned on here, but we questioned whether that was a good move for somebody and maybe a bad move for somebody else. But one of the guys that was part of that swap won the race, and the other guy finished 3rd, so it must have been good, right?
Yeah. Denny Hamlin tried to tell us, and we thought it was kind of funny. But Yeah, that is
that
interesting,
guy
isn't
who
it?
was banished to Christopher Bell's team is now a Cup Series winner.
Yeah, and the other guy's like, hey, this isn't so bad.
Right.
So yeah, that works. Yep.
Great to see Bubba have a good performance on a non-super speedway track, though. I think maybe stuff's turning around there. Kurt Busch ran well too. Strategy
He
kind
had
of
a
got
chance
him,
to
but
win. Yeah.
so
You know who else it was good to see have a great day and battled for it was Brad Keselowski.
yeah.
That was a workman's
Oh,
effort.
he
out
battled
there.
Austin Dillon.
Yeah, he did. That was interesting. I don't think we've seen the shenanigans after a stage before.
He
But,
just lost it, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised, but it's been a frustrating season for Brad, so I guess he doesn't want to be messed with. So,
Yeah.
Um,
Nobody on
put Austin in his place.
nobody on the team knew what the deal was. Like nobody knew what the problem. And neither of the drivers really answered it after the race.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Yeah, Austin Dillon doesn't talk to him anyway, apparently. So
Yeah,
that was a thing. And then your boy Kyle Busch in the DeWalt car, which really threw me off. He was in a DeWalt car, and Martin Truex Jr. was in the Interstate Batteries car. That really threw me off. But Kyle Busch decided to spin out twice.
Well, he was just doing donuts.
And make the day a living hell for himself, and rallied. Got up to 12th. I mean, good Lord, what a day for him.
He was practicing for the end of the race. He was excited about maybe doing some donuts. Hey, he did better. At least he didn't hit the pace car. Didn't wreck in turn 1 this year.
Yeah, the rain didn't get in his way, so that was good. That was definitely good to see.
It happened, James. Did you see it? Denny Hamlin paid back Ross Chastain. It's over.
No, yeah.
They're even now.
Yeah, no, it's over. All right. Yeah.
That's
just
all you're
keep
gonna.
finding
That's
their way
all you're
around.
gonna get out of him.
Man,
He's
they
not gonna do
are.
anything.
They're always around each other. It's crazy.
That's because they're both good drivers and they're both up front.
Yep. They're both there. Both in the same spot.
Let's see what else. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think the story of this race though really is the playoff picture though.
Yeah.
And maybe we can skip ahead on where we're at in our notes.
Yeah, go for it.
Eric, the cut line is fourth place in points.
Yeah.
Right now.
That's incredible.
The guys who are 9th and 12th are out, and we've got 17th and 19th in so far. Denny Hamlin's locked in because he has 2 wins somehow. So if I'm like Chase Briscoe, I am not feeling super confident right now. Eric, the 17 winners before the playoffs is definitely a possibility here.
Yeah.
We are not far off from that happening. What do you think about that? Because you kind of had talked me into like, oh, it's not going to happen. There's no way. But man, we are inching closer. And if you're Blaney or Truex, you can't feel very good right now.
I mean, you said it though, James. If you have just a slight change, the butterfly flaps its wings over here. Chase Elliott's a 4 or 5 time winner, or even more, and we're not talking about this. So the same thing could happen the rest of the season. But it's looking more likely. Of course, every time one of these guys gets a win, that's one less guy that has potential to get one. Yep. But there's still some wild cards left. We still got road courses. We still got Daytona.
Michigan.
We get one more winner before Daytona, James, and that race is going to be nuts.
Yeah, and there's guys who can still make it, guys who won't have a chance to make it, guys who are in with a win who think they might be out.
Yeah.
I cannot remember the cut line ever being this high, and it's because it hasn't happened.
Maybe
before.
the first year of the chase when you had Clint Boyd, or where was it? Jeremy Mayfield. I can't remember. I know there was a battle. Wasn't it Mayfield had to win to get in, and he did
Mayfield
it or
had to
something?
win to get in, yeah. But we didn't have a win.
It wasn't like this, right?
No, that was purely points based, and if you didn't make the points, you didn't get in. We have this win and you're in system now, and this is just a blast to watch.
See, I want to see somebody like Brad Keselowski come up here and really shake things up. Somebody who's so far out that they don't even have a shot, and suddenly
Corey LaJoie could have been that guy.
Yeah, he could have.
A week ago. You got, man, like so many guys with one win. Like even Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch, just one win.
Yeah.
Those guys are safe though. I mean, they're so far ahead, they're safe. But if you're Tyler Reddick, Chase Briscoe, Daniel Suarez, Kurt Busch, those guys are all kind of under a blanket. Heck, even Austin Cindric might not be locked in. if things break here a little bit.
And here's the thing, James. So if you look at someone like Martin Truex Jr., Martin Truex Jr. is going to win a race yet before we hit the playoffs.
You would think, but they've thrown a couple away too.
The way they've been running, you would think they will.
Yes.
So you got him. You got Harvick, who's really coming, man. He's there. He's so close. So that's a possibility. Obviously, Blaney you'd think can check out. I mean, he already won once this year, just not during a points-paying race. So he's got potential to sneak one in there. Eric Jones has been running really well. We know Eric Almirola can come out of nowhere. That's kind of his MO. You got Bubba
coming, like you said.
Bubba Wallace, who's suddenly running well. It's interesting, man. I'm loving it.
We're going to have to keep a really close eye on it every week now. Last week, I actually took it out of the show notes because I'm like, we're in a decent place with the points. We kind of got a feel. And then this happens, and like, oh, crap, the cut line's at 4. And I don't even know. Like, you've got guys like Blaney, I thought about his race at Road America where he took stage points. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And basically threw the race win away because he went for points. And now that seems so silly.
Yeah.
Because you got to win these races somehow, some way. Oh man. Yeah. We've never had the tentative cut before. Tentatively locked in. But yeah, we've got a graphic in our show notes for people to see kind of this guy Diecast Sharv. I think that's how we say it. They do a nice job with the graphic to explain who's in, who's out. And we've got that for the Xfinity Series and Truck Series too, because the Truck Series this week will finish up their regular season. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, we're getting into playoff time here, really close.
Yeah. Still 8 races to go before the Xfinity Series playoffs. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's see. Anything else with New Hampshire for the Cup Series? Austin Cindric was our highest finishing rookie in 13th. It was a good race. I mean, it wasn't a barn burner, but it was a good race. We had
if you looked behind Martin Truex Jr., you had a good race going on.
Yeah, really.
Then when he faded, everything came up, and I really liked the Christopher Bell attack mode that he put on. That was awesome, man. You don't see that, so that was very cool.
Thank God we only run 301 laps around this place, because 3 hours and
it's a
14
long
minutes.
race. Yeah.
Holy crap. When we weren't even done with stage 2 yet, I'm like, are you kidding me? This race is dragging. And it was like I said, it was a decent race, and it was still dragging. But there you go. The Xfinity Series was in action the day before. It was the Crayon 200. Justin Allgaier gets the win on that one. Leading 47 laps in the day. Basically dominating him and Ty Gibbs. Pretty much dominated this race. I think maybe the bigger story is old Noah Gragson lost some more points this week. Landon Castle as well. Both of them DQ'd. I know the Noah Gragson thing was a big story for me because it cost me in my picks with you.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And gave you the lead back because Noah Gragson got only one freaking point in this thing.
We've never had that happen before.
Justin Allgaier wrecks a woman to get the win.
That happened too. Landon Castle got penalized too. We should mention that. Both guys lost their good days too.
Yeah.
Both guys were in the top 5, top 10, and just thrown out the window. And when you're in a points battle like they are too, that does matter when you're getting down to the nitty gritty, because the points do matter for Landon Castle. He's on the cut line right now. So. Right.
Well, not so much. Gragson was in the running for the regular season championship though, and now that is going away for him.
He's pretty much out of it for points' sake. He's 100 points back now, 99 points out, so he's not going to catch AJ for that one. Justin Allgaier's still alive though, and that's cool because he got his third win of the season for him. He's got to get this championship at some point. So they got to be thinking big picture now.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool to see. But yeah, there was Racing Reference has a blank driver in the 45 car, which I can't figure that part of it out. That's different, but it's interesting. But yeah, pretty. I don't know. New Hampshire just keeps putting on good races, and this was another one that I thought was pretty solid. So
yeah, it was an interesting. New Hampshire's got a bit of a short track feel with the Xfinity Series. It always kind of gets a little edgy. You get some drivers mad at each other. You get some wrecks. We had a pretty wild wreck coming out of turn 2 in this one. But
yeah, guys got in the air a little bit. Big hit.
Yeah.
Trevor Bayne, Eric, was in this race again.
Yeah.
6 starts, 4 top 5s, 5 top 10s.
Yeah.
Making a case that maybe he should be hired.
I would think if I was, especially an Xfinity Series owner, I would be thinking about running him full time.
Yeah, I'd make a phone call.
Yeah, it's interesting. So.
Yep.
All right, and that takes care of the Xfinity Series. James, do you know who was the highest finishing rookie in this race?
That would have been
Sheldon Creed.
There you
yeah, Sheldon Creed.
go. 5th place finish for Sheldon Creed.
Pretty cool.
Brandon Brown had a good race. 3rd place finish. Good strategy for him to get him up there. I was waiting for him to mess it up at the end, trying to battle with those guys. But
yeah, he led some laps, and because of the penalties, I think he got bumped up a little bit.
Yeah.
So that helps.
Jeremy Clemens also a 4th place finish for him with the adjustments.
What was the deal with Ty Dillon and Austin Hill? Those guys were John. Did you see that? I think Austin didn't like the way Ty raced him.
Yeah, I don't know.
Something like along those lines. I just saw the aftermath. I didn't see what happened on track.
Ty Dillon was having a bad weekend.
He is having a bad week.
We'll get to that too.
Yep, he's having a no good, very bad week.
Yes, he is. With that, before we head to SRX Corner, James, I did want to mention the modified race was pretty spectacular in this one too.
Oh my God, yeah, go watch that.
What a race! Great finish.
Last 2 laps, all you need.
Modifieds
So
in New
good.
Hampshire are basically like watching the Cup Series at Daytona or Talladega with the draft and all that. It's awesome.
I would go to watch a modified race at New Hampshire.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, me too.
It's incredible.
Good stuff.
Man.
And if you want to watch the Whelen Modified Series, you can watch them on Flow Racing. Just for the
There you go.
record, they're on there every race. So SRX was in action, the penultimate race of the season for them. I like using that word because for some reason everybody uses that word now. Old Tony Stewart, I give him a lot of credit for doing some pretty heavy sandbagging early in the race to make it look like it was going to be a race, but manages to run away with this thing, and I think we're going to see the same thing happen next week.
He better.
Tony on dirt against the rest of these guys, it's just no contest.
Oh my God, every single restart, he just was gone.
Yeah. And
he dominated the heat races too. I know he finished second in the first one, came from the back to win the second one. That was, I watched that. So I had a nice little setup in my camper and I was able to watch it. Caught pretty much the majority of the end of the race, and man, that was a lot of fun.
It was a perfect setup for me because the Xfinity race ended, went right into the modified race. I watched the modified race live, and then I got to switch off from that and go straight to SRX. It was absolutely perfect. Yep.
It's been, Eric, I hate that this is going to end again, but
I know.
I am excited for it to come back again next year. This has been, it's just a lot of fun. It's just fun racing, and the cars were beat to crap.
I almost want to see them take this next season, James, and run it every other week. Do the same length of a season, but run it every other week. That gives them an extra week to fix these cars, and maybe encourages the drivers to race a little rougher. Not that they need a whole lot of encouragement. That's Kenny Schrader.
Paul Tracy doesn't.
Schrader made the comment during the broadcast that these guys don't have to rebuild these things; they just run the crap out of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe that keeps it around a little bit longer. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't keep the momentum going for them. But
yeah, I just think CBS has got a good thing going.
Yeah, they do.
Eric, I was gonna tell you. Do you know the most watched motorsports in the country based on how many viewers they average every week during the SRX season? Do you want to hear the top 3?
Sure.
NASCAR Cup Series, Formula One, and it's not the Xfinity Series in third. It's not IndyCar in third. It's SRX.
Wow, that's
Big
impressive.
Draw, and IndyCar putting races on Peacock where it's not easy to find. You've got a network television event that you got right here on main CBS, and you got viewership, man. They're getting almost 1 million viewers a week.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool for CBS in the summer to have a show that gets 1 million viewers a week. I'm sure they're happy about that, and they'll take it. They'll take it for a 6-week stretch in the summer when nothing else is going on.
Right. Your buddy was back to his old form. Paul Tracy had pretty much destroyed his car in the heat race,
and Ryan Newman caught the bull's end of him, and then somehow Ryan Newman got that car into a pretty good spot to finish in the top 5. I
and
think.
somehow Paul Tracy managed to blame that on Ryan Newman too.
Yeah, he does that. You know, he had 2 weeks, Eric, where he tried to get the ship righted, but nope, he's back. He's back.
I think the only driver that maybe had something for Tony Stewart unfortunately overheated because she wasn't relaying her temperatures back to the pits.
Oh my God, that was... Did you hear the crew chief snap back
Yeah,
at her?
I felt pretty bad for that to be put on network TV.
I was like, oh man, that's actually a bad look for Haley, and she might not deserve it. Like they probably should have put water in the car.
Yeah. I'm very, I mean, I don't think I made it a secret on this podcast. I'm pretty pro Haley and really want to see her get an opportunity. I think she draws a lot. I think she draws a lot of natural fan base instead of the spectacle fan base that Danica brought. And I think she's going about it the right way and working her way up on like what Danica
She's
did.
trying. Yeah,
so
she's trying.
I really, really, really want her to succeed. And man, she was in the running for another podium on a dirt track, and the car failed her.
Yeah, and unfortunately that's going to happen from time to time. But we don't see mechanical failures in these cars very often.
No.
I know Bill Elliott last year had some struggles, but other than that, you don't see it too often.
That track was wet to start the race.
Holy smokes, it was. Yeah,
it was very wet. But by the looks of it, by the end of it, I think they made the right decision to do that. I mean.
Well, Smoke got out of the car after the race, and he had a big old grin on his face about how the track was racing. So he must have been happy with. He is a tough, like he could have won that race and still been mad about the conditions of the track. So if he's happy with the track conditions, the track must have been in pretty decent shape at that point, even if it was a little wet to start.
I think we need to make a rule on these dirt tracks that Tony has to race them backwards for the first half or something, because he has to run it in reverse because it's no contest, man.
I went to my second Prelude to the Dream, he basically was supposed to start first in the feature and forfeited the spot and started in last, and I will never forgive him for that, because I was going to see him win another race and he couldn't get all the way through the field, and frickin' Jimmy Johnson won that dang race.
You just have a thing with Jimmy Johnson winning races.
Oh, I traveled all that way, and that son of a gun won that race.
You went all the way to Daytona to see Jimmy win too, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Me and Jimmy, we go way back. So yeah, he won me over with blunt force trauma a few times, but yeah, Tony still. I did see Tony win at Eldora once, so that was cool. But then the next year he did that, and I was mad. So.
I have a request, James, for the SRX series in CBS.
Be careful, Eric.
My request is that we bring back Danica Patrick every week to the booth, because I would rather listen to Danica Patrick every week in the booth than listen to one more race with Willie T. Ribbs in the booth.
Yeah, that wasn't a good look.
I'm sorry, man, but that guy, it's like they put a microphone in front of him and say talk, and he just fills it with words. They don't make any sense. They don't mean anything. He just fills it with words. He's
got zero broadcasting experience, and it's not.
And I'm not hating on Willie T. It's just not his place.
God bless Alan Bestwick.
Yeah,
he tried.
I know.
He tried. I do like. You know what I will say though, Eric, about that. Like Willie's not great at his job.
Yeah.
Like he's not great at broadcasting, and he definitely wasn't. He can't race anymore. I don't think he's
right.
I don't think he has it in him, but I do appreciate that the SRX series is giving him an opportunity to try.
Yeah,
and I know he's not doing a great job, but we don't have a whole lot of what Willie T does and who Willie T is in broadcasting and auto racing. So I'm okay with them trying, but I think we got to move on.
Give him the Rutledge Wood role. And let him do the roaming reporter thing. Let him talk to some fans. Let him do that. Give him some mic time, but let's not give him the whole race. And I think part of it is just having somebody to put in the booth. This week
Connor Daly wasn't there. And,
we get Joey Logano this week, so that should be good,
man.
Yeah, Joey's great in the booth.
This week is going to be an awesome show. Like Joey's going to be there. You've got the Blaney's coming, Ryan and Dave. And then Chase is going to race. So this is going to be this is a good field for a dirt race. I am looking forward to what we're going to see on Saturday night.
Yeah. Having the Blaney's out there with Tony might be a good race on the dirt.
Dave's not going to fool around.
Yeah, Dave's a dirt racer. I don't think Ryan's not a dirt racer though, right?
No, Ryan does not have the dirt background, but Chase has been running a lot more dirt. And Chase is 1-for-1 in the SRX series. He won his only start last year.
Yeah.
So this is going to be cool.
Like
and
I said,
Joey in the booth.
I'm excited with Joey in the booth. Joey's a great broadcaster. He
will do good. Yes.
His future is in broadcasting. I guarantee it.
Yep.
He's definitely got a future there. So, and
I'm glad NASCAR guys are embracing SRX a little bit, which is good to see.
Yeah, it feels like that that tension is not there anymore.
Yeah.
That we had last year.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm gonna miss SRX, Eric.
Yeah,
I will.
Me too.
Also, did anybody have a better weekend than Tony Stewart? With he won this race, and then his wife won the Top Fuel event in Denver or Colorado, right?
Right.
So his first Top Fuel win for TSR Nitro. So that the Stewarts brought home the hardware over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know who didn't have as good of a week as Tony Stewart this week, James?
Let's have it.
Richard Childress.
Oh boy.
Nothing like making an announcement, which I think we talked about probably last week.
You and I talked about this announcement.
Yeah.
Well, first there was the patented. God dang it, James! We recorded too early again because Tuesday came out that Tyler Reddick's going to 2311 in 2024. So we've had some time. But what an announcement and what a mess, a glorified mess that was.
That press release from Richard Childress Racing, I'll tell you.
Bad.
I don't know I don't know who's more guilty at Richard Childress Racing, the guy who didn't get Reddick's contract signed or the guy who issued that press release.
Eric, you've been in the media for a long time. Have you ever seen that kind of announcement before?
No,
you always
would put a positive spin on it because you look stupid if you don't. You make it look like it was your idea.
The timing couldn't have been worse is the exact quote from a press release. And I was like, God. I have never seen that before.
That was incredible.
Holy smoke. You know what, though? The way Tyler Reddick and Denny Hamlin announced this thing during that Zoom call or whatever, that was pretty... I don't know. I would have taken offense to it, too, honestly.
Yeah. Well, and the thing
is... It wasn't a good look.
Did you listen to Darwin Clear this week, James?
I did not.
They talked a bit about it. Brett Griffin talked a lot about it. Of course, Brett Griffin's, if you don't listen to that show, not only is he a spotter, but he's very big in the business side of the sport as well. Does a lot with sponsorships, does a lot with helping drivers and whatnot. Knows a lot of the inner workings of the contracts and stuff. So basically what happened is Tyler Reddick apparently told Richard Childress Racing about this, and it was a matter of Denny wanted to get the news out there before Richard Childress Racing got the news out there, or the news got broken. He wanted to break his own news. Yeah. So
it's coming.
Apparently, like within minutes of Reddick telling Richard Childress Racing, there were already text messages going that Tyler Reddick was leaving RCR, and so it was a matter of we need to make this announcement now. If we're gonna keep the announcement to ourselves. And hey, man, as somebody who not only in NASCAR reads the rumors and pays attention to the inner workings, but in other industries as well, tech industry, stuff like that. Man, big applause for somebody to be able to sneak something out like this that nobody saw coming.
Nobody knew it. Yeah. I give him credit for that. It was, we had never seen anything like that.
No,
I don't think we've ever seen an announcement quite like that.
No.
So it looked messy to me, but I got, you're right. It was, they got the news out on their own terms, which,
what does this say about Richard Childress Racing, James? I mean,
this is the second time this has happened.
This is the second time this has happened, and this is their top guy. This is. I mean, don't get me wrong. Austin Dillon is not the face of Richard Childress Racing right now. Tyler Reddick is.
Yeah, and he has so much promise.
Yeah.
Eric, this is the thing we talked about this when Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin teamed up.
Yeah.
We had talked about, man, Michael Jordan's got an endless budget and he's going to shake some stuff up. And he just snatched up the best young talent in the game right now. You got a short list of guys who are next level, next guy up talent, and he's probably the first guy on the list.
Yeah,
like William Byron's on that list. There's only a couple of guys. Christopher Bell.
I can't think of any drivers that would be available that I would.
Nobody's available that's better than this.
I mean, you and I are both big Eric Jones fans. but I'm taking Reddick over Jones.
You gotta take Reddick. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's younger. Yeah.
And even if you look at lower series, I mean, I take Reddick before you take someone like Noah Gragson. You know,
Yep.
I mean,
Even Chris Bell, who's sneaky, going to be 28 years old. I don't think people know that. But Tyler Reddick is young and definitely has the looks like Kyle Larson did.
mm-hmm.
Like there's just a lot of similarities there. And Tyler Reddick probably looked at Larson's career and was like, I'm not doing that.
Yep.
I'm not going to do that to my career because I think Larson made mistakes early in his career. And you saw what happened once he got to Hendrick. It was like a bottle rocket, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Derek, so do you think Tyler Reddick races in that 8 car next year?
I think he does.
What are your feelings?
I think he does.
You think so?
I think RCR has already set the precedent because Harvick finished out there.
Yep.
Again, listen to DBC today. It helped me with this decision because, from a business standpoint, from somebody who, manages a company, manages a staff, when somebody says they're leaving for your competitor, you don't usually keep them around until they're ready to leave. You usually say, okay, peace. Because you don't want your secrets going over there. But this is a different deal. I mean, this isn't, as much as it's business, it's different. So one, you got sponsors and whatnot. First of all, Tyler Reddick's got a contract. Richard Childress Racing picked up his
option.
They picked up his option. So he's there. Unless he agrees to get rid of that contract, you're paying him one way or the other. So RCR doesn't have the money to pay 2 drivers for this seat. For one. So unless you're bringing somebody in with a lot of money that really wants to race that car.
Right, or unless you go to Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin and say, "Hey, will you buy him out?"
Right,
to take him.
Yeah, which I don't think Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan are ready to do that. They're not ready for a third car
they
right
don't
now.
they don't have the infrastructure unless you're going to let Kurt Busch go, which Denny Hamlin said that's not going to happen.
Right,
Kurt's got to ride as long as he wants.
They don't have a charter. They don't have a shop. They don't have that car. So that's not happening. And if you're Richard Childress Racing, you got him locked in for this year. You keep him and you have him race for you, because who else are you going to put in there? And the talk on DBC, which I agree probably, is that the best driver to put in this seat is Austin Hill. He is in line to race this car and likely will in 2024. It's a no-brainer, I think, for RCR to put him in there. They've got him in the pipeline. It's him or Sheldon Creed. And neither of them are ready to do it this year.
No.
So,
unless you go after a Gregson.
Well, that's
other...
the thing is Gregson apparently is the talk for the 42.
Yeah, and do you want Gregson coming in and tearing up a bunch of stuff?
Right. Well,
that'd be great for him to be in the 42 as well.
Yeah, but that's the talk, and I guess we can talk about that now. Ty Dillon, we already mentioned, it was announced that he won't be back at the 42 next year. For RPM GMS Motorsports, or however the hell you say the team name, Petty GMS. But yeah, the talk is that's where Noah Gregson's going, is that 42 car.
And that makes total sense.
Yeah, I mean that's a big pickup for them. That's a huge step in the right direction. I love Ty Dillon. I think the kid has got such
a nice guy,
great attitude. He is a nice guy. There was a Reddit thread that I shared in our group chat that was bad takes that didn't pan out in the Cup Series. Like, what was your bad take that didn't pan out? And one of them that somebody mentioned, which a lot of people felt, was that Ty Dillon was better than Austin Dillon. And unfortunately, Ty just has not done it. I love Ty, but his place in the Cup Series, I think, is coming to a close. Honestly, I was surprised he got the opportunity this year. And if you're Richard Petty Motorsports, if you're GMS, you got an opportunity to know Gregson or Ty Dillon. I'm going with Gregson all day long.
Yeah, you take the upside, because we've got the Ty Dillon resume.
Yeah,
we know what that is.
Well, and Ty Dillon's run in competitive cars in the last 2 years in the Xfinity Series and hasn't done anything.
Yep.
He just has not proven himself when he needs to prove himself. And I'm sorry, Eric Jones is an example. You just only get so many opportunities to prove yourself.
Yep. And look what Eric Jones is doing in the same stuff as Ty Dillon, like overachieving in the playoff hunt, like right where you would expect a driver like that to be with a team like that.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Overachiever, right where he wants to be.
And I think when Noah Gragson isn't wrecking, that's the same thing he's going to do. But he's going to.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if he's going to tear up some cars. He hasn't been terrible in the 16 car when he runs it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean,
We'll see.
Maybe the Cup Series fits him better. We'll see.
Maybe. Yeah.
He's a good personality though. He's going to be fun to have in the Cup Series. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, absolutely.
Still waiting on KFB.
KFB.
Man. Eric, are you coming over to my side yet?
I don't
You
think so.
He's leaving yet?
No, because here's the thing, James. Who's gonna pay him?
How about the guy who has an endless budget and owns an F1 team?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is he'd have to drive a Haas car. I would think. I think that's.
I think you can get him sponsorship if you get him signed.
You think so?
What
You think,
the hell?
Why do you think Joe Gibbs Racing cannot get sponsorship for Kyle Busch? If Joe Gibbs Racing can't get sponsorship for Kyle Busch, how is somebody else going to get him sponsorship?
Do we have like a sounder for reckless speculation?
No.
Do we have like anything that would be like, this is not exactly what James thinks, but he's going to be reckless?
Step on my ding dong there.
That's the best
There you
I
go.
can do.
Yes, that would be that. Perfect. So here's me stepping on it. Maybe this is all a front by Joe Gibbs Racing just to kind of force him out.
No.
They don't want him back
No way.
because they can get the sponsorship for Ty a lot cheaper.
No way.
Yeah.
No, because there's no way
reckless.
Joe
That's
Gibbs
reckless
Racing-
speculation.
There's no way that Joe Gibbs makes the comment earlier this season that Ty Gibbs has got another year in the Xfinity Series. There's no way this deal is going to get done. It's just
Kyle
taking
Busch-
longer than it should.
Kyle Busch does not want to take a penny less than what he's worth, and I, for one, don't blame him
No.
one bit.
No,
honestly,
if I was Kyle Busch, I would probably say I would rather sit than race for less than what I deserve.
Yeah, pay me. I am the most valuable driver in this sport. Pay me.
Yeah, there is not a
Pay me what
driver
I'm
right
worth.
now in the Cup Series that should be making more than Kyle Busch.
That's darn right.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of drivers who do.
Mhm.
I'm sure Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. get paid very, very well.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Kevin Harvick gets paid very, very well.
Yep.
But I am baffled that a driver with his resume, the best resume in the sport right now,
Yeah.
is sitting there looking around. And the same dang thing happened to Keselowski. And I just don't understand it. I can't understand why these guys who are this good are sitting around and sitting on their hands, and in Brad's case, taking bad deals and having to go and do your own thing. I just don't understand it. I don't get it.
Is this a Jimmy Johnson situation where we're holding out for that one big sponsor rather than a
Maybe.
bunch of small? But I guess the difference though is that they signed Jimmy. You know.
Yeah, but Jimmy was also not taking a pay cut.
Right.
That's Jimmy freaking Johnson. Like, he's the greatest of all time.
Right.
No pay cut. But I mean, Kyle Busch can have that conversation though.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
just-
It's the longer it takes, the weirder it is.
It's like the Buccaneers telling Tom Brady, "Don't come to training camp. We're not sure what we want to do with the position yet."
Yeah.
Is really what it's like. Okay, you've got the best guy in the business just sitting on the sidelines, not signed. But Kyle Busch saying he's talked to other teams definitely applies pressure
Yeah.
to get something going.
Hey, I
I'm
mean,
surprised he said it.
as long as if there's not a signature, he better be talking to other people. I mean,
Yeah,
he'd
man,
be
if I'm
stupid to not be talking to other people, right?
Good Lord, if I'm Ford, I'm trying to figure something out.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
I-
and if I'm Toyota, I'm doing everything to keep him.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, they just got a
sure.
pretty good prospect this week. And that's the thing is we keep seeing these doors close around Kyle, especially in Toyota camp. They locked up Truex again. They now locked up Tyler Reddick for 2024.
Yep.
You know.
And meanwhile, the seat at Stewart Haas Racing remains open.
Yeah. Well, in theory.
In theory, yeah, I know there's
In
rumors
theory.
going around that. There's rumors going around that Eric Almirola might be back, but he's sounded non-committal.
Apparently,
on that,
it sounds like that Smithfield is the one that wants Eric Almirola back. And also, apparently, there's, according to Brett Griffin, which, again, take it for a grain of salt, but usually they're right. Apparently, there's other teams that are even looking at Almirola to come over there.
well, if he brings sponsorship,
Yeah.
and Smithfield wants him to keep racing,
Yeah.
that's helps your budget.
So it's an interesting silly season.
Oh,
fun.
driver swap. Eric Almirola for Kyle Busch.
No.
I wonder who won. I wonder who wins that one.
Right? No kidding. He's
Here's your sponsorship.
he's not going anywhere.
Man, but you have to feel a little bit shakier about it.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
yeah,
That's
no,
all.
I mean,
That's an
obviously,
admission. I'll take it.
again, as long as there's not a signature. I mean, shoot, James. Again, last week we were not expecting Tyler Reddick to go to 2311.
No. Nope.
I mean, there was no way he was at RCR. It was solid.
Yeah, for a year. Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anything can happen. I mean, I would have never thought that Dale Jr. would ever leave DEI. So,
That's true. Tony Stewart left Gibbs before.
yeah.
It's happened.
I mean,
These things happen.
would it be a huge loss for Joe Gibbs Racing to lose Kyle Busch? Yes, it would be a huge loss. Would it be a gaping wound? No, because they've got the guy in the pipeline. I think that guy could use another year in the Xfinity Series to mature a little bit more. I think he's shown a lot of maturity over the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess if you're Joe Gibbs, if it happens, you got a backup plan. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Can't have much of a better one.
I just find it hard to believe that nobody. And that is okay. Is it all money, or is it we don't like his attitude? Is Kyle hurting himself with his reputation on getting a major sponsor?
Could be.
I don't know.
Could be.
So, and Toyota's got a lot of money. Why don't they step up and put their name on the car?
Well, Toyota also has a lot of money wrapped up in him with that KBM
Exactly.
situation.
Exactly. Another reason not to let him go.
I just love the beautiful synergy of Kyle Busch going over to Stuart Haas and bringing his truck team
Dude,
to
I would
Ford.
love it. I would absolutely love it from a story standpoint. It'd be awesome.
Oh, me too. Oh, yeah.
I
yeah.
mean, you think Tyler
Oh,
Reddick going is a big deal? That's a huge deal.
Dude, drivers like Kyle Busch don't move
No.
very often.
I mean,
can't-
that's Tom Brady
To-
leaving New England to go to, I mean, that's
Tony Stewart left Gibbs in his prime, and Dale Jr. left DEI in his prime, but those guys don't leave very often.
Right.
Like Kenseth left.
look at Jimmy
Roush.
Johnson. Ran his whole career for one team. Jeff Gordon, whole career
Yep.
for one team.
That's right. Carl Edwards left.
Yeah.
Very briefly, but he left, and those are. I mean, but again, the only comparable one is Tony Stewart, who left, but that was a whole different thing.
Right.
He had a gift handed to him, for ownership. So
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a story every week. I mean, how many weeks have we
Yep.
devoted to talking about
I
this?
know I keep talking about it because it interests the crap out of me. So
Yeah. It's
if
it's
we
interesting.
start boring people, I'm sorry. It makes me interested.
Yeah,
so.
if they've made it this far, they probably fell asleep. I guess as we head into Pocono now, we'll talk a little bit about the race weekend. But last news story: limited tickets remain for the weekend's race at Pocono. Just another example, James, of why it's a good idea to have one race date at a track versus two.
Yes.
Pocono's selling pretty well this weekend, so that's good.
Yeah. Yep. Very cool.
With that, it is Pocono race weekend. All three series in action this weekend, James, and I get to pick first this week because
It's been a minute.
last week was not a good week for me. You
Yeah.
gained 45 points on me, largely in part due to Noah Gregson. Only
And
getting
I
a
also
single
picked
point.
Justin Allgaier, so
Yeah.
that's a full swing.
Yeah,
pretty
it
much.
was the biggest swing it possibly could have been in this race. One
Yeah,
race.
unless I know.
And I even beat
Allgaier
you in
to
the
win
cup
those.
race by 1 point.
I know I need Allgaier to win the stages and make it a 60-point win, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
We'll take it. Yeah. Yeah, the last few weeks I've scored 29, 32, and 45.
Yeah.
So that'll swing the points.
I think 45's got to. Oh no, I guess we had a 54 point.
Yeah, I've
week.
gotten crushed.
Yeah.
I got crushed once. What was that one? That was that was Gateway.
Yeah, 44 point week. Yeah, there's been some rough ones.
Did I lose that one too? Yeah, I did. Man.
Yeah. So I
That was
mean,
a big one.
it's temporary, but you're ahead. So 33 point
Yeah.
lead over me.
Yeah.
And with that, I get to pick first, which means I have to pull up my notes and remember who the hell I decided to pick this weekend.
You cannot pick Ben Rhodes.
Yes, I am not going on a big stretch in the two preliminary races. The NASCAR Truck Series, James, I am going to go with the only active truck driver with a win at Pocono Raceway. And I'm going to go with John Hunter Nemechek as my pick.
John Hunter Nemechek. All right. That makes it a little easier for me. He was one of my guys I was considering, but give me Zane Smith.
Nice. That is a good pick. No Carson Hocevar.
I cannot pick Carson Hocevar.
Ah, that's why.
Yep. I picked
Well,
him at Mid-Ohio. Yeah. Picked him at Mid-Ohio, and he scored 43 points. So.
Yeah. He's another one of those that I think is a good pick any week right now.
Yep. He's
especially with the momentum he's on.
Yep.
NASCAR Xfinity Series. It is the Explore the Mountains 225. Doubleheader this weekend, too. Truck Series and Xfinity Series on Saturday, just for the record.
Yes.
And again, I'm not going to stretch very much on this one, James. I'm going to take the guy who's... I'm taking Ty Gibbs.
Yeah.
Give me Ty.
Yep. So this is the second time you've picked him in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Ty Gibbs. Man.
And you
That's a
can't
little
pick
tougher for
Allgaier,
me.
which was I almost picked Allgaier, but I picked Gibbs because you can't pick Allgaier. So
Yeah, I can't. Allgaier's done so well for me. I've got 2 wins out of that guy in the last 2 times I've picked him. So, give me AJ Allmendinger actually for this one.
that's a good pick.
I think I'll try to go toe to toe with Ty Gibbs. I wanted Ty Gibbs if I was going to pick one. That would have been the one I picked. But you are coming for me now. You're angry, and I have a good feeling of who you're going to pick for this next one. So let's have it.
This
The Cup
one's
Series.
tough actually because I have 3 written down, and I think I'm going with my gut on it, James. And I'm going to go with the favorite this weekend. He's got 4 wins here in the last 10 races. Average finish is 7th in the last 10 races, and I'm going to go with
KFB.
and go Kyle Busch on this
You
one.
kind of picked everybody. Yeah.
Did I pick all your picks?
I was looking at Kyle. Yeah. Though that's good. Well, I'm not allowed to pick Denny Hamlin.
Oh,
so
I didn't even
I'm
realize
blocked.
that. So that's even better because that was one of my
Yeah.
picks. Denny
Yep, I'm
Hamlin
not
has
allowed to
2
pick-
wins here in the last 10 races, an average finish of 9.8. He also has 6 wins overall and an average finish of 11.1.
So this guy's due to probably have a little bit of a regression week, but he's hot. Give me Chase Elliott.
Chase Elliott.
He'll do well in the SRX race, and then he's going to come to Pocono and whip everybody's butt.
Chase Elliott
So
was
I'll take Chase
not on my list here. Neither was Kyle Larson. The other pick that I was looking at was Kevin Harvick. He's got the best average finish here in the last 10 races, 5.5.
Remember last year when Larson stuffed it in the fence in the last corner? Yep. Exciting stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So there we go. How'd Fantasy League go this week? I think we had a familiar face, didn't we?
Yeah. How much fun is it that the big guy who's always been chased is now the chaser and he's creeping into everybody's stuff? People tried to bury him. I won't name names. People tried to bury the champ. Ranger Runyon is coming. He gets the win, and a week where a lot of people scored really high. But the champ is here, gets the first place spot fast to the grass after losing the overall lead, gets a second place finish to battle back, and our buddy Barron Speedway was third. Eric, you edged me out by 6 points, 4th and 5th.
I was in second at one point in this race.
You did the thing you're not supposed to do, and you looked at the live scoring when that's
Yeah, I know.
That's a no.
I know I did, and I also I got rid of Kyle. I had Kyle in my lineup, and I put him out because
Yeah, I had to put him back in when Almirola broke. I had to put him back in, so I was stuck with him.
I think I
at that
still had decent drivers, but I don't know.
You did.
Just,
I mean, we all had it. We all had a good week. We
that's
all
the problem.
scored
Is
in
every
the-
time I do well,
200s.
everybody does well.
Yeah, like the races I've won, it's not because I've scored extremely high. I've scored fairly average, but everybody seems to have a bad week those weeks. So
Yeah.
overall standings, I'm still in first. Fast to the Grass is not too far behind, just over 40 points back. Green Eggs and Hamlin is third, and the champ is here, creeping in. He is less than 200 behind me, about 166 points out of first. So big week for Ranger. He is, man, I am so excited that he's hovering around. It makes me nervous and scared, and it's everything I wanted out of the fantasy league. So it's a lot of fun.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
I'm enjoying it because there's a part of me, a small part of me, because I want to win this thing bad. but there's a small part of me that wants him to blow everybody's doors off and win this thing because it would be so much fun. So, congrats to Ranger, got the dub. Did his bow on Twitter. He's back. He's talking crap.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
He waits there in the wings, and then when it matters, he's coming.
He hasn't come on this late before. So
Yeah.
this is new. Usually he's already in the lead by now.
There's still
So
a
he
lot of
is-
time left too.
Oh boy, is there. Yep. There's a lot of time left, and now he's ready. Now he's just coming. He's coming for everybody's stuff. It's fun. I hate this league so much, but I just tried to find the storylines, and man, that's a fun one.
Yeah,
Good
it's a good
stuff.
one. I'm glad you guys are having fun. I'm glad you guys are enjoying yourselves up
yeah.
there racing for the lead.
Yeah.
I'm back here racing with Rick Ware in the back of the pack. So
You're a little bit better than Rick Ware. You're more like you're like a Cole Custer.
yeah,
Sometimes you crack the top 5, and everybody's like, "Whoa, hey, where'd Cole Custer come from?"
maybe Chris Buescher. I'll take a Chris Buescher.
Ah, Chris Buescher. Yeah, you've got some wins in the past. Yeah, that's good. Yep.
All right,
Fantasy League.
James, you got any shout outs this week?
I do have a good one.
Okay.
I have never played this game, but do you have the Roblox app, or
No,
do your
I do
boys
not.
have the Roblox app? Okay.
The boys want
Um,
it.
Okay, so there's an app called Roblox, which I had to do some research to figure this out. I am not, listen, man, I am aged out of some of this stuff, but
Yeah.
anyway.
If anybody listens to this podcast regularly, they're aware of this.
yeah, that's
James
probably it.
is
I've been Larry David since I was 5 years old.
he's 30 years older than he actually is.
I had a thought the other day, and I can't remember what it was, but I love that. I was like, I had a memory, and I was like, God dang, that sounds like Larry David, and I was only like 5 years old or something. So yeah, that's true. So anyway, the app Roblox, you can get it on your iPhone or wherever, whatever. I saw something on the social medias of this NR Thunder racing game,
Oh yeah.
and it looked
That's
really
what it's
cool.
on is Roblox?
Yeah, so I was like, how do I get this game? And I figured out it was on Roblox, and then I did a search for NR Thunder, and somebody made like a career-based and single race-based NASCAR game, and it's got like a handful of different tracks that look like tracks we know, like Homestead, Miami, and a couple others, Talladega.
Really?
And I was like, oh my god, this is actually pretty good. It drives okay, but I was like, man, for a mobile racing game, this is pretty slick.
Huh.
So
I bet you it's
wanted
better
to-
than the current NASCAR game, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, yeah, it's better than NASCAR Heat Mobile probably too. So no, this was an interesting one. I wouldn't say it's great, but whoever made it, I mean, God, shout out right there. NR Thunder, go give it a try if you feel so inclined.
I've seen some stuff about NR Thunder, but I guess I thought it was just a fantasy thing. I didn't think it was a real thing.
No, it's real. You can play it. I've played it. It's
Pretty
interesting.
cool. Huh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yep.
All right. Well, I got a couple. I hate shouting out Dale Jr.'s podcast because they don't need any help. But Tony Uri Jr. was on last week's, and it was a spectacular episode. James, I don't know if you got a chance to listen to it.
Yeah, I saw some of the snippets of it.
Some definite inside info, some good stuff. Junior tried to ask Tony Uri what they were doing to cheat up cars when they were so good on super speedways, and Tony said that was a rule that Earnhardt had is don't cheat. We don't cheat here. So they could push the rules and stuff, but they couldn't blatantly cheat. So that was kind of interesting. But was not aware that Tony Uri Jr. was the start of coil binding. That's where that began, was with him and Michael Waltrip's team. They were the pioneers in that. And it leaked out to everybody else because Dale Jr. was not running well. and Tony Uri Sr. basically called him out on it and made him reveal what was going on. So
Crazy.
that was interesting. There's some interesting stuff with Teresa and whatnot. There's some good stories on there, so definitely worth a listen if you haven't listened to it. So again, they don't need any help, but it's a good podcast. So check that out. The other one I'm going to shout out myself, James. I know that's kind of
Do it.
not appropriate, but I'll do it anyway because 8 years ago today, James. 8 years ago today, I was featured. My tweet was featured on NASCAR.com
Yes.
when Tony Stewart won his first sprint car race back after his injury at
Yes.
Tri-City Motor Speedway. I was
we were
there.
there.
Yeah. Took the
we
photo.
sat side by each.
Yes, we did. Took the photo, got it on, I got the tweet on NASCAR.com. Little did I know I was going to be covering NASCAR after that and have a podcast.
Oh man, what a
With
good
you.
memory. What a good memory.
We just I showed up at the track, and it's like there were rumors that Tony Stewart was going to be there, and I called you.
I think you called me.
Yep.
You called me.
Yes.
Which that doesn't happen.
I know,
We
right?
don't talk unless we're on the. But you were like, "Hey man, you got to get here," and I got in trouble with my family and my wife because we were supposed to have a thing. There was a thing going on. I'm like, listen. This is something I have dreamed would happen for my entire life.
Yep.
My favorite driver is at my track. I'm going, and I hauled ass. I think I was living in Freeland at that time, so it was only a 20-minute drive of that.
Yeah.
And you saved me a seat, and we had. I mean, that is one of my favorite racing memories of. I will cherish that day forever. I loved that day so much.
It was his second race back in a sprint car and his first win.
Man,
he raced, I think, the night before in I-86, I believe, was where he raced the previous night.
Yep. He was in Michigan making the rounds.
And then, of course, the tragedy happened not too long after that. Thank God that didn't happen at Tri-City.
Oh my God, yeah. I bought I think I bought it at Eldora, but I bought a sticker of that sprint car. Like
Nice.
It's the actual image of that car. And I saw it because they didn't have a die cast. I'm like, I gotta have something to remember that. And I think I was at Eldora for something. I think maybe me and you were at Eldora.
Could be.
And that's when I got that. And I still have it. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't believe that was eight years ago, but so cool. So cool. Good memory.
Very cool. This week also there's all kinds of memories popping up in my feed from Eldora. Of course,
is Tony Stewart the second best driver ever to race at Tri-City?
Why? Who's the first?
I think Jimmy Johnson ran at Tri-City.
Did he really?
I think so, in the old asphalt days. Yeah, if you go on Racing Reference, I think you can find it.
Really?
Yeah, I can verify that.
Yeah,
If you want to do your jackass,
you better verify that because I am curious about that now. Because he probably would be the second best. I mean,
now, Tri-City, as people who don't know, we're talking. This is extremely inside baseball.
Yeah.
But Tri-City Motor Speedway here in Auburn, right by us. I mean, basically in the middle of where you and I are right now. Used to be a half mile, right, Eric? Was a little over half
mile asphalt track. They called it the trick track because it had 5 turns or 6 depending on how you counted it. ASA raced there a few times.
And that's where I think Johnson raced it.
I don't think he was in the ASA series yet when they raced there.
Hold on. Let me find it here.
The last ASA race there was televised live on TNN. It was not as spectacular as most of the previous races had been. Mike Eddy was very well known from here, lives in the Midland area, not too far from where we live.
He did.
Did he really?
1998. Yep.
Really?
Yep. 24 cars in the field. Jimmy Johnson racing for Herzog Motorsports.
Who won that race?
Number 4. That was, hold on. Man, I love Racing Reference.
That's incredible.
Mike Miller.
Yeah, so
Mike
I was
Miller,
there. That was the race that was televised on TNN.
Mike Miller beat Mike Eddy and Gary St. Amant for that one. He led 70. So it looked like it was a great race between the three of them.
Well,
Scott Hansen was 4th.
Mike Eddy spun and cut down a tire, and he went a lap down and spent the whole race coming back to. Is that right?
Oh, Eric, I got more. In this field, so Jimmy Johnson finishes 8th. Also in this field, Tim Sauter finished 13th, and the Adam Petty finished 17th in this race, in the Spree Coca-Cola Pontiac.
Interesting.
Chaz Howe was also in this race. Man, Chaz Howe was in this race. Bob Seneker. What a field. Jimmy Johnson led laps in this race. He led 30 laps in this race.
Interesting.
So you learned something today. Look at that.
Yeah. I got any more research on that now because I don't know if that's the race I was at or not. Maybe they ran one more there after.
I think they ran 2 there, didn't they?
That's what I thought. There were 2. There was one that was not televised. That race started. It was Butch Miller.
No, this is the only one. Looks like. Hold on.
There was definitely 2 there, because the first one I have a picture from the wreck on the backstretch where Butch Miller and Chaz Howe ended up on top of each other, and on the
That's
first lap.
this race. That's this race. No, wait.
No,
Chaz Howe
it's
was
not
running.
this race.
Chaz Howe was running.
Yeah, it's definitely not this race because there was one race
I
that was
think
not televised.
Yeah, I think I'm only seeing 1998.
It's possible it's not all on.
It might not be. Yeah,
Interesting.
I'm only seeing the one on Racing Reference, but there could be another. That doesn't mean it didn't exist, but yep. I knew that in the back of my mind, and somehow when we were talking about this, that's what jogged my memory, and I don't know why I went down this road.
See, 98. Okay, so I was not there.
We are way off the.
I'm
we
sorry.
Are way off the
I did
rails
not
now.
go there in 98 because 1997 was the year that I went. That was the race that was
So that's
televised.
when they don't have. Yeah, they don't have stats.
Yeah, and there were at least 3 ASA races. There probably were more because in the younger days of ASA, I'm sure they ran there more than that. But I remember the very first race. That was the one where Butch Miller and Ed Howe crashed on the backstretch and ended up on top of each other. Not Chaz. It was Ed Howe in that one. Chaz, I think, raced it too, but that one would have been earlier. And the 97 was the one that was televised. And yeah, they must have raced in 98. And I think 99 or somewhere in that range, they also raced a race at Auto City in Flint instead of Tri-City. So
Yeah, the other tracks on the list for this season were Berlin is on here.
Mm-hmm.
Berlin's on here twice.
That doesn't
So
surprise
yeah,
me.
there's a couple of Michigan races. Yep.
Interesting.
Aren't you glad I have little nuggets of information just buried down deep? Yep.
It's good stuff.
I don't know
I'm
why.
impressed with
I
that.
don't
Yeah,
know
so
why.
that's why I didn't realize it because I must not have been there for that race.
Oh man, Eric, you and I have been chatting about racing for damn near a decade.
So there's
more than a decade.
That's how far NASCAR's come in since the 50th anniversary, James. Jimmy Johnson went from racing ASA at Tri-City Motor Speedway to being a 7-time champion.
7-time champion, yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
It's Jackass time, James. I'm going to start the Jackass, and I'm going to go with those idiots at Bowman Gray Stadium.
Oh no.
Wrecking each other because they got spun out in a race. There were 2 instances this week. It was the night of destruction this week at Bowman Gray. I watched the whole night of racing on Flow Racing, by the way. But I don't even have the names of the guys. But there were 2 in the Sportsman Series, or one. I don't remember what the hell the series is. Street Stock Series, I think it is. They look like sportsman cars. But one of them got turned in the corner. They already didn't like each other from the week before, and it was just a T-bone in the middle of the grass in the infield. I can't figure this Bowman Gray stuff out because it's got to be encouraged, James. It's just insane, and these guys are tearing up race cars, running into each other like a demolition derby, and it's like it's fun. But man, I'd get frustrated too. Like and the thing that really frustrated me about this thing is the guy in second place spun the leader out, right? Spun the leader in turn 4. The leader who got spun out goes and T-bones the guy who spun him out in the infield, who was just trying to get away from him. The race is red flagged, and then they ended on time, but the guy in third place gets the win. It should have been the guy in second place. He didn't do anything and got wrecked. So I don't know. It's just these idiots just race.
Yep.
You got a Jackass this week, James?
Yeah, NRF Productions on Twitter. I probably shouldn't even mention them because people will go there and follow them, but it doesn't look like that's happened. Basically made a crack at Haley Deegan turning 18.
Yeah, I didn't see what this was.
Well, they deleted the tweet.
It was gone by the time I went to look.
It said, basically 3 years ago today, we were lucky enough to have Haley Deegan turn 18, and we'll let you guess why. And Haley called them out, and I
Good on
loved
Haley,
every second.
man.
Yeah. She goes. Haley said somebody actually wrote this, thought about it, and looked at it and hit send. This is awesome. So good on Haley for basically killing this Twitter account, and now this person's like walking it all back and all this other crap. But anyway, don't be an ass. I mean that's the reason we have this section right there.
Yeah.
Right there. That's the epitome of a jackass. It doesn't get any better than that.
I have another one, James. Speaking of
You got more.
Speaking
Good.
of
Bonus.
people being an ass, there's a certain Yahoo Sports writer
No.
who crawled out of his hole today because there was something that he could perceive as negative about NASCAR and decided to tweet again. I'm not even going to name him. Just some troll that works for Yahoo Sports who probably hasn't been to a NASCAR race in years, if ever. Just every once in a while decides to come out and say something bad about the sport and then retreat to his hole where he remains until the next possible negative thing he could say. Today he took a shot at NASCAR leaving Road America. But I don't want to name him because I don't want you to subscribe to him. He's just a troll.
This person just provided the data and put a little shruggy face on there, and you can look at the images and take from it what you
This
want.
person, if you were to look up jackass in the dictionary, this person's picture would be there, and his Twitter
The cartoon
handle.
version or the real version?
I don't know, probably the cartoon version because that's the only version
This
that I
person's
see.
been very quiet lately.
Yeah, like I said, he crawls out of his hole when there's something negative to say. You know why he's been quiet? Because things are going well, James, and he has nothing to tweet about. His audience is not there to enjoy him ripping on our sport because things are going well. So
I still enjoy him. I can't help it.
screw him. I haven't unfollowed him yet either, but he's a jackass.
Good
Well,
work. Good
I will
work,
not share his social media handle, but I will share yours, James. James, how can people find you on Twitter?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/TheSuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find old episodes of the podcast, show notes, links to articles we discuss, past race coverage, photos, and more. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. We hope you subscribe for new episodes each week. Wherever you find us today, we hope you subscribe and continue to listen. Hopefully some more race coverage coming up. Hopefully some more sound bites. My credential request is in for Michigan. So fingers crossed that NASCAR approves me and we get to cover that one and maybe just a race at Darlington this year too. We'll see. No announcements there officially yet, but that's the thought.
Maybe.
So anyway, we'll be back next week to break down Pocono, preview the next week's races, talk about whatever other new races that NASCAR announces. Hopefully we get a schedule soon. Ben Kennedy said hopefully within the month. So we'll see on that. We'll be back to break it all down next week. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.